Hello, everyone. This is Rudy Upshaw, CEO and founder of Cross Shield. We're here today for our Powerful People, Powerful Stories podcast, where dreams take flight, goals come to life, and financial discipline fuels the journey to greatness. We're your host here at Cross Shield to dive deep into the lives of incredible individuals, including visionary business owners who are rewriting their stories, crushing their goals, and turning their dreams into reality. From navigating the challenges of entrepreneurship to mastering personal and business finances, these stories are packed with wisdom, grit, and the courage to thrive. You'll laugh, learn, and you'll leave inspired to take bold steps toward your own goals. Because powerful stories ignite powerful possibilities. Whether it's building a thriving business, creating a financial legacy, or living with purpose, these interviews reveal the habits, strategies, and breakthroughs that make it all possible. So sit back, get inspired, and join us as we uncover the journeys of remarkable individuals. Welcome to the Powerful People, Powerful Stories podcast. So today we're so glad to have you guys. We'd like to really talk about this particular podcast. This is a new podcast that we are putting out, and it's really impactful for us to be able to share these stories. This is episode 101, and we're pulling back the curtain and diving into the why behind today's podcast and the podcast we're going to be doing ongoing. I mean, it's what drives us to share these powerful stories. Why are we so passionate about connecting you with the habits, strategies, and breakthroughs of remarkable individuals, especially business owners on their journey to success? We're talking about the mission, the vision, and the heart behind powerful people, powerful stories. So I want to just bring into our conversation today, this podcast is really designed to have individuals talk about the things that they have not just achieved, but also the journey that they've been on in working through their goals and dreams. You're going to find people on this podcast that maybe you've never heard about, you've never known. These aren't necessarily people that are very well branded, well marketed, and just very visible to the community, but they have such a powerful story to share. We feel like it's very valuable to do that. So in today's podcast, we wanted to invite one of our very own team members into the conversation to be interviewed. And so we've got, for your listening and viewing pleasure, we have our executive assistant, Miss Allie Long. Allie, thank you so much for coming on board and letting us get to know you and hear more about your particular story and the things that you're doing and where you're headed. So, Allie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell the audience who you are, kind of what you do. Take just a few minutes to do that, and we'll jump right into some questions for you.
Sounds good. My name is Allie Long, like Rudy said. I'm the executive assistant here at Cross Shield Financial, and I just kind of work behind the scenes on some of the things that need to get done. And I love working here. I think it's an awesome place to work with people who inspire you and push you towards your goals and push you towards your goals and excelling you at what you do. And so I love working here. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Great to have you, and Happy New Year. So before we kind of jump into some, really kind of a deeper dive into you and your powerful story, I want to ask you a question. What's your favorite New Year's resolution that you've ever actually kept? We have these New Year's resolutions that are around. I don't believe in resolutions. I believe in, disciplines and all that. But even me, it's like, okay, it's a new year. What things don't want to be focused on?
What do you want to do?
Exactly. So what's your favorite one that you actually have kept in the past?
My favorite one was I have not drank in 2 years, and it was only 1 year that I was supposed to do it, and I did it. Did not do anything. And not that I was like a heavy drinker or anything. I just was like a social drinker, and I just felt like I was supposed to go into my year like not, and I did it. And now I'm on 2 years. So I was like, cool. I'm kind of competitive though. Now I'm like, now I've hit 2 years. I can't break down. So, but that was my favorite one, I think, because it just realized that I don't have to socially drink to have fun. Like, it's okay. I'm okay. So
very cool. It's always good to go back and remember what we did accomplish, to kind of help keep us motivated and to do new things. So for me, I remember Yeah, the biggest New Year's resolution that I had was back in 2006. It's been a day or two ago, but I remember probably about August the year before in 2005. I was kind of at a place. I think I was maybe 36 years young, and I was pretty heavy. I was about 70 pounds heavier than where I'm at today. Not very healthy. Had a lot of kind of things going on, and I was just in my house, and I was like, you know what am I doing right now? And I
Mhm.
remember just having a time. I was being very prayerful, spending some time with God, and He just asked me a couple of questions in my spirit, and He's just like, do you love me? Do you really, really love me? If you do love me, you know, you will do some things that you're taking care of yourself and showing me. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me explore that. So I was thinking through it. But anyway, long story short, getting to the end of the year, between August 31st of 2000, yeah, it was actually 2006. So it was August of 2006 till the end of the year. I said, I am not going to do things the way I've been doing it with my body, my
Mhm.
physical self. And I said, nope, no more. I'm going to do something different. I started. I lost in 4 months. I lost 70 pounds in 4 months.
That's awesome.
And at the first of the year, I said, you know what? This is great, but I want to make sure that it lasts, that it's,
Mhm.
a discipline now. And so I committed to that. And I have consistently ever since then been very not just committed, but I've been doing things. I exercise now, I watch what I eat, I'm being very intentional. And I've been able to maintain that lifestyle ever since. And it's been
That's
absolutely a
good.
game changer. And I've also seen impact of my own family, my own kids. My daughters, they go to the gym on a regular basis. They think about their body. They're very consistent with that. And my son is just doing it too. So anyway, so that was my story. My New Year's resolution that I
That's
actually kept.
awesome.
So yeah. So
Good for you.
Allie, we are here for you today. This is your time. Our listening audience wants to learn more about who you are, what you do, what's really on your heart,
Perfect.
your passions. So I've got some questions that I'd like to ask. So let me kind
Okay.
of just jump into this introduction. So again, welcome
Awesome.
to this episode. This is the first one of Powerful People, Powerful Stories. Again, on this podcast, we're going to shine a light on the true powerhouses of our world, not just the ones you see in the headlines, but the ones you may not have seen. These are
Mhm.
the achievers, the dreamers, and the doers who may not always be in the spotlight, but are highly successful in reaching their goals and living out their dreams. Today, we're thrilled to introduce our audience to Allie Long, Executive Assistant here at Cross Shield. She is a shining example of this kind of quiet yet extraordinary success. Allie has been with us on our team now for, gosh, about 6 months or so. She is very well known in the Tulsa community. The in the gosh, you have to share a little bit more about that. But people love you. They are drawn to you. I hear your name all the time in the community, especially in our church environment. And Allie's here to share some of the insights and strategies that helped shape her journey and where she's at. And she's not complete with her journey. She's actually in the middle of it now. And so, anyway, audience, get ready to be inspired by the power of persistence, vision, and action. So, Allie, again, welcome. So, I've got a question
Thank
I
you
want
for
to
having
ask
me.
you. So, tell me, what inspired you to? Let's talk about some of the goals and the dreams that God's put on your heart, and what's
Mhm.
inspired you to uh, do those things. So, first of all, just tell us what your goals and dreams are.
My goals and dreams are to do missions and ministry and possibly one day own a nonprofit to support that ministry, that missions. Um, that's my goals, my dreams. It's always been since I was a kid. And what inspired it was it's kind of a funny story. I literally remember it. I was fourth grade at kids camp and my kids pastor at the time, I was like crying. Like we were like in this like revival state. I was bawling. Like as a kid, I was like crying, like being touched
Mm,
by the Lord and like just all this stuff. And I'm crying. And my kids pastor like laid her hands on me and she just started like prophesying over me. And she was just saying, like, these what you're crying for is the nations that you're gonna like touch, basically, like the nations that you're going to go for.
Mm.
And when I received that, I thought it meant I was going to be a global pop star. So I took that word and I was like, I'm going to be a global pop star. I'm going to be a singer. Like, she told me I was traveling the world. Never once did I ever think I was going to do missions. I didn't even want to go on a mission trip. Like, it was not on my heart to go on missions at all. Like, I was scared to travel outside of the country. And it's so funny that I was scared because now, like, little kid me would not believe that what I've done now.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so, and then for some reason, I don't know how I ended up getting connected to go on my first mission trip to Haiti. And I didn't want to go, but I ended up going, and I don't remember like how that ended up happening, but I ended up going. And of course, I like called my parents when we were leaving, and I was like, "Can I move here?" They were like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay." And ever since that first trip, like I was young, ever since that first trip, I was like, "Oh," like it just all kind of like clicked for me. And like after then praying, I was like, "This makes so much sense." Like my heart just like grew fonder of the nations. Like in Haiti, like I loved Haiti so much. And this was like right after I think it was the hurricane that happened there.
Yeah.
Hurricane or earthquake. But something had happened there and they had like a natural disaster and it was like right after. So it wasn't even in like it's just like wasn't even in its best shape possible. And I was like, I want to live here. My mom's like, what? You didn't even want to go and now you want to move? And I'm like, yeah. So that's how it kind of happened and how I kind of came to realize. So yeah.
Wow. So, missions, that ministry of going out to the world, sharing the gospel, loving on people outside the U.S., uh, is really kind of where you're headed, and all the things that you're putting in place is kind of leading up to that. And you've done a lot of
Mm-hmm.
mission administration and coordination work for several organizations in the area. Is that correct? I mean, you're
I've
starting
done a
to,
couple, yeah.
yeah. So you've been involved with the administration side. You're kind of working through that
Mm-hmm.
process. Allie, for our audience who may not be aware, how old are you?
I'm 26.
26 years
Yes.
young. Okay. So, to be able to have that type of purpose, that kind of goal orientation, that dream, let me ask you this: do you have all that figured out at
No.
26?
No.
Gotcha. That
Not
that's a
at all.
really that's a really important point for our audience to hear, is that well, you don't have to have everything all figured out and lined out and have it all,
Mhm.
mapped out. Um, but what you do have to do is, I think that many of us get really we struggle or get maybe kind of tied up with thinking that, you know what, I've got to have all my boxes lined out so I can just start checking off one at a time. I have to have all the details figured out. I have to have all it done. And that's not true, and that was me for many, many years of my life,
Yeah.
which is really kind of when I first started this conversation, I'm like, "Why am I bringing this up about my resolution of my, fitness journey and all that?" I was so, I was of the belief that I had to have everything mapped out, had to have all the analysis done before I could even start anything. And what the Lord
Mhm.
has shown me going through the process of leaving my 30-year career as a commercial banker, kind of a really nice paying job and all these things, is that if He puts something on our hearts, a goal or dream, and we really want to accomplish those things, He's going to help us figure that out. And it's not necessarily our
Mhm.
job to have all of it mapped out. So I love the fact that you just said, "Hey, I know that's what I'm doing. I know that's where I'm going. I don't have it all figured out, but I am adding
Mhm.
steps at a time to get there." So talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that you have maybe faced along your journey to achieve those long-term goals to become a renowned missionary.
I would say some of the challenges are just waiting. That's like my biggest challenge
Ooh,
for me
okay.
is waiting for timing. I believe that the Lord's timing is the best timing, even when I want it at a specific time. So I believe that's the best. And so waiting for the Lord's like, yes, like it's time now, or waiting for everything to align. Cause I know I have the issues of like, I want to go right now, even if it doesn't make sense, or it's like no doors are opening. I'm like pushing the doors open, and the Lord's like, just wait, like my timing. And he's always proved that his timing is right, but sometimes I just get a little impatient. And so I
Mm,
would say that's one of my biggest challenges um, is waiting, because
okay.
there are seasons of waitings where we're all just having to wait and wait for the right door to open or something like that. So
How do you know when you need to wait, or when you're in a season where okay, I need to wait? Because I think you're right, Allie. That is a very, very that's hard. It's hard for me.
mhm.
I think it's hard for our audience. Um,
I think it's hard for everybody.
it is. I think you're right. So how do you know when you're supposed to wait?
I think whenever things are just not working out, like,
Mm,
and you, like I said, like you're trying to force the door open. Um, I think that's when it's like you need to wait. And I'm not saying like there's opportunities where you need to take the step forward for doors open. That's not what I'm
right.
meaning. I'm meaning when you're like doing every single thing that you can do to make this thing work and it's just not working. I think that's like a big old sign of like, let's take a step back, and maybe this is a time for you to wait and like trust in the Lord that his timing is gonna like work out. I also think that having prayerful people around you also encouraging you
Mm,
in that time
yeah, right.
is very good, and very helpful, because they will also have insight with the Holy Spirit, and they will also have insight with the Lord to also tell you like, I think this is a waiting season. You know what I mean? Like I think you should wait on the Lord. So that's what
So
I would say.
does waiting does not mean, I think you've already kind of alluded to this. Waiting doesn't mean that you're not doing things, right?
Yeah, no.
To prepare yourself to kind of get ready for where that next step is. Um,
Still
it's
doing things. It just means you're not
waiting.
doing things.
Yeah. Do you think waiting is actually probably even more intentional than,
Mhm.
spinning and spinning and yeah, I
Yeah, for
think you're
sure.
right. I think waiting is actually it's more
Waiting is like you're
intentional.
preparing, and I think sometimes it depends on our waiting season. Can be longer or shorter depending on how we wait on the Lord, you know?
Yeah.
Because there was a time that I wasn't doing anything, and I was in a waiting season. I wasn't doing one thing. Obviously, I was like working and stuff, but I wasn't in my word. I wasn't like doing anything. And like I look back and I'm like, I should have been like in my word every day. Not that I'm wanting something, but I should be preparing myself for when the door opens and I'm like fully ready to go. And
Mhm.
so it's still doing things. It's just it's very crucial to whatever you're doing in your life.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the conversation that you and I had actually last week, where we were really talking about these goals that you are working toward. And even though maybe you're in a season right now of maybe a wait a little bit, it's like, okay, you still said, okay, what can I do though, even though I'm
Mhm.
waiting specifically to help me get ready for that next step? And you actually said it to me. You said, um, I know that I'm in a season of waiting, but I also know that I'm supposed to be doing certain things specifically that are going to be preparing me, maybe administratively, maybe connection wise, maybe in other areas that are actually going to be more impactful. So you'd
Mhm.
ask me, what does this look like? Here's what I'm thinking. Give me some feedback from a coaching perspective. And we all walk through that. I thought that was very, not just mature, but it was very powerful, right?
Mhm.
That even in the season that you know what's coming down the road, you don't know exactly what it is, but you said,
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable with just kind of not being prepared. So I'm going to do some things to make sure that I'm getting ready for whatever that next step may be. Sometimes if when we don't have activity, it's very difficult, I believe, for the Holy Spirit, for God to use those moments if I'm not having some level of activity and preparation. So,
I
um,
heard someone say one time that it really encouraged me, is that if we stay still in our waiting season, our water becomes stagnant, which it
Ooh.
does.
Mm.
And I was like, oof, literally. I was like, oof. And so that's why we need to keep motion going, and we need to
Yeah.
keep going and like, so we keep the water fresh instead of like keeping it stagnant and still. Like we need to keep it going. And it is like, I agree, harder for the Holy Spirit
Mhm.
when we're stagnant. And yeah, I just heard that one
So
time and it really like inspired me.
the activity, not necessarily forcing something to happen, right? But the activity of preparation, the
Mm-hmm.
activity of wait, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heavy activity. Love that. So, Allie, talk to me a little bit about your the values. You know, this goal, this dream that you have, the things that you're doing. What are the values behind that that are guiding you toward those objectives that you have for yourself?
Well, the Lord's a big one. So the Lord's a
Well, tell
big
me
one
about
in
that.
that.
What do you mean? What do you mean the Lord's a big one?
I just mean like I said, I thought I was gonna be a global pop star, and then I'm like going on a mission trip, and just like the fact that the Lord has changed my life from just going on one mission trip to then like almost 20 mission trips, almost 20 mission trips, and like just like the Lord revealing things every single time I go on a new one, like
Yeah.
every single time. I never thought I was a leader, ever, which is so funny
Mm,
because I am pretty like outgoing. I do have a strong personality, like, and I just never thought I was capable of leading a group. And then it was like one mission trip, I wasn't leading a group, and bam, on the trip, they were like, "We don't have enough. We need another group. You're the team leader." And I was like, "What?" Like, and I led a whole entire team. Like it was just like, and I just feel like the Lord has just been showing me things behind this every single time that it's just like my dream was so little at the beginning, and then He just keeps like He kept allowing these things to happen, like, and then it was just like expanding my dream. Like, oh wow, like these things could actually happen, and it just created
mm.
so much value into what He's brought this picture. Like it was like, like one little puzzle piece, and I was fine with the one puzzle piece. But then He keeps like putting pieces, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is so awesome. And I just know there's more to it. And so really all of my credit due is to the Lord, because like I said, I wanted to be a pop star or a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and here I am. Now I'm wanting to be full on in a shack in somewhere. Like I'm full on capable of doing that. And so yeah, all of the credit, all of the like really the Lord's just done all of that. So
Yeah. Let me ask you a follow-up question related to that. So, and you can answer this from a faith perspective or even your own experience, but um, do you believe that in order for you to achieve these goals of being a very effective missionary, that um, that these things are just kind of done for you, that God just makes things happen, and He may give you the vision, the purpose, and the desire to do it. How much of that is Him kind of making it happen, and how much of that is Allie listening, hearing, and then being obedient to that?
I think it's both. Like I think it falls into like both sides,
Yeah.
or like both of them. Because like there's so many people who just kind of want to go on a mission trip, whether it may be like the place that they're going to, or whether it be like, all my friends are going on this trip, like I want to go. That was a lot of what I saw.
Right.
And then on that trip, out of their own like, I would say flesh, like out of their own fleshly decision of like, I want to go on this trip just because I want to go, the Lord like puts that seed into their heart, and then is
Mm,
like, then uses that seed and like grows it, if that makes sense. So I feel like for me, I didn't really want to go on a mission trip, and I went on a mission trip, and then when I went, the Lord like, I knew I had a heart for people. I knew I wanted to travel, obviously, but for a different reason. I knew all that, but I didn't know why, what, how, all this. Then I go on one trip, and the Lord was like, boom, there it is. Like, so it was like, it's definitely both. And then obviously, my situation, I've allowed the Lord to grow that want and desire. And, it's something I pray every day. I'm like, Lord, if this is not something you want for me, like, take that desire away from me. And like, not that it means I will
Mhm.
never do missions again, but like, as for like what I want to do for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
and it's still there. we're still there. So I would definitely say it's a both thing. It's like you planting the seed because he can't make you do anything. The Lord can't make you do anything. And so
There it is. Yeah. Right.
he like it's up to you to like kind of take that step. There could also be like like I would say like an initial like feeling like, oh, I kind of wanted to go, and it could be the Lord putting that feeling into your heart or putting that thought into your mind, but it really is like that initial step of you doing it and
Mhm.
obeying, and then I think the Lord and the Holy Spirit just like kind of takes that and grows it.
Yeah. So what I love about you that I'm just getting to know more and more is that you're in a place where um, because of your relationship with God, right? Your abiding
Mhm.
relationship with Christ, when he talks to you, when he's putting these desires on your heart. But the really cool thing is that I really enjoying is your immediacy to being obedient to whatever that is, even though, man, it may not make a lot of sense. It may be a little bit scary or uncomfortable because of your relationship with him, with these goals and dreams that you have. I hear you constantly, tell me, you know, yes, Lord, to him. It's like, okay, he's asked me to do this. I know it's him. I'm going to do it regardless. And
Mhm.
that is so powerful. It can also be a really scary, right? But it's all about the relationship
Yeah.
with your heavenly Father and Him loving you, and because we can't see the future, right? But He
Hmm.
can. He sees all that. He knows. So let's talk about the financial side just a little bit before we kind of
Sure.
wrap up on our time today. So, the goals and the dreams that you have. Obviously, there's a financial component to everything that we do in life, but especially,
Hmm.
in this aspect of preparing yourself to go into the mission field as a full-time, very effective missionary. So, talk to
Hmm.
me a little bit about your successes that you've experienced on your with your journey with your money. Maybe even some things that you are fairly new to you, even that you maybe haven't learned that you picked up on or have taken up since you've been
Hmm.
with us here at Cross Shield as a financial coaching firm.
Hmm. So most missionaries are like donation based, by people donating to them. I have always done it that way. I lived in New York for a time to do missions and work with the church, and I was donation based. One of the most stressful things is relying on people to donate for your finances, just because everything can change, right? Right now, we're going through a big time of inflation. Like, inflation has gone up, and a lot of people, like,
Right.
can't afford to their bills. So how are they going to afford to giving that extra $100 a month
Right.
to their missionary? So they may like take it back. Well, them taking back affects you and your bills because that's how you're like being supported.
Yep.
And it is when you're raising for just one trip, it's easier because it's like done. It's one payment. You don't need anything. But having a um, consistent people like donating to you, that is where it is very hard and it's a struggle. And I applaud everyone who gets that done or like who still has like a running thing because it is very hard to
Yeah.
rely on people. What I've learned, I went on a mission trip a year ago, 2 years ago. Um, I went on a mission trip and I saw how they kind of ran, and I didn't understand like why I was on this trip. Like I loved the trip, it wasn't bad, but I was praying and I was like, Lord, like why did I come on the trip? And I feel like a part of the reasoning of why, like the purpose of me learning, because I love to learn. Um, I feel like a part of the reason why I was on that trip was I saw that they ran a cafe, and that is how they supported their ministry. So
Mm.
all their donations or all their like profit went to like the ministry. Um, and I thought that was a really cool idea because I told the Lord, like, next time I go into missions, I don't want to be fully reliable on people. Obviously, people are able to donate if they want to, but I don't want that to be my main source of like income coming in. Like, I
Right.
don't want that to be my thing because like relying on people is very, very hard unless God really was like, no, you are going to rely on people.
Yeah.
Um, and so I saw that and I was like, that's so cool, how they have that, and that is something that I've been wanting to do. I love to make coffee, I think I love baking, and I really was like, maybe that's why, like, I talked with the owner and, like, I got to talk with them of, like, how they started that, and I thought that was just a really cool idea. It's been in the back of my brain of something that I would love to do, and then just working with, Cross Shield, I'm really learning the financial aspect behind it of how to, you know, build that budget and like emergency funds and like everything that I would want to do kind of, and I'm still learning, and I will continue to learn as I'm going on, um, how to do that with also being like 26 right now and like coming up with those dreams and goals and like obviously it's not going to happen tomorrow, but like like just having those goals like lined up and like talking about it with my financial coach and everything, and I think that's been really helpful, especially with what I want to do because I'm not like I want to retire at 62. I want to do like I want to do this until I die. Like, so I'm like it's very different for me and it's been nice to talk about stuff like that with my financial coach.
Yeah. Love that. Well, yeah, and you already mentioned not being supported fully or being dependent upon others. You're also
Yeah.
a personality that is you've chosen to bring income in, regardless of how that needs to happen, right? You've got goals, you've
Yeah.
got the purpose, you know what your numbers are, and
Mhm.
so tell me. So, last question: what advice would you give someone that has a goal, a mission, a purpose that's put on their heart, but they're just so afraid of what it may take for them to achieve that or to go start down the path to get there. So I mentioned you do work. You have several jobs. You have several
Mhm.
sources of income that you bring in, and you've just dedicated to do that. So if
Mhm.
someone has that goal, has that dream on their heart, but they're just maybe at a place where it's like, "Ugh, yeah, I know I want to do that. I feel like I should, but I don't think I can. I don't know where to start." What advice would you give that person?
Number 1, trust in the Lord. It is
Hmm.
so much harder than what I'm just saying. Like that's one of my biggest pet peeves when people are like, just trust God. And you're like, I am.
Yeah.
But it is so vital. And like kind of how we talked earlier, work while you wait. Don't sit still while
Mm.
you're waiting. And like I'm in this season right now where I mean it's not easy. Like I'm just talking about it with you, Rudy, but it's not like I'm like, "Whew, that's such a breeze," like, for me to, like,
100%.
wait in this season because 'cause I'm in this season where I'm like, "Okay, Lord, I don't know how this is gonna look. I don't know when this is gonna happen," but I'm also reminded of, like, Jesus started his ministry, I think, at, like, 30. Like, he had all this time. So I'm not too late. Like,
Right.
comparison is a thief,
Yeah.
and, like, there's just those things. So trust in the Lord and just keep working while you wait. Keep working while you wait. And like I said, the doors will start to slowly open. Um, do your research. That's what I've been doing your research on like even local organizations that are doing the things that you want to do. Um, and then kind of like just like put yourself out there and just start serving somewhere. Like my church, I was just like, yeah, I like missions. And like, they're like, oh, good to know. They've been on a mission trip before. They've done their things. It's been over a year. And now they're like, hey, like, I want you to lead a mission trip. And I was never expecting that from like my church, but it's just like, okay, like that's awesome. And it's just like doors are gonna start to slowly open. And so yeah, those would be like my top three.
Love it. Fantastic. So if some of our listeners are listening to this and they're hearing your story, hearing the things that you are working toward, your accomplishments, and you're obviously well within the middle of the journey, but they're thinking, man, I need to talk to Allie because I've got these things on my heart that I just don't know where to start.
Please
I'm
talk
kind of
to me about
scared.
it.
Yeah, I mean, so how can people connect with you to be able to maybe have a conversation and just say, "Man, Allie, I loved your story. Can I share a little bit about where I'm at with mine, and what advice would you give me?" Would you be open to doing that?
Of course, I would love to pray with you. I would love to talk with you. It's a journey for sure, but it's a good journey.
How can people
Um,
connect with you, Allie?
Facebook.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook and you can find me on Instagram, Ali Long. I'm up on there, and even maybe we can you can put it in the description
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want
we'll
to.
we'll put
But
we'll
yeah,
put some connection links in there for folks to be able to connect with you. So, Allie, it's been
yeah.
such a pleasure. Oh my goodness, to just get to know more about your story. There's some things that I haven't heard about your journey today, and so it's been really, really fun to hear
Thanks so
that.
much for having
So,
me.
oh my gosh, it's been amazing. So, all right, audience, do you have a powerful story to share or a vision to transform your financial future? We want to hear from you. Connect with Cross Shield today to explore how we can help you achieve your goals, or reach out to share your inspiring journey on our podcast. You can find us at crossshieldfinancial.com or on any of the social media platforms to get started. Your story could be the spark that inspires someone else to greatness. So if you like today's podcast, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, or follow. Check out our bio for links to all of our socials to stay tuned into what's next with this Powerful People, Powerful Stories podcast, which uploads every other Friday at 12. We may actually do this every week, as well as on the Wealth Blend, which is our weekly podcast that we do talking about financial news that are happening across the world. That uploads Fridays at 3. You can find us on Spotify, I'm sorry. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and the Deezer platforms. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this podcast. So, and lastly, thanks for tuning in to our Powerful People, Powerful Stories, where every journey inspires, every lesson empowers, and every story matters. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Till next time, remember, your goals are our focus, and your story has the power to change the world. Thanks so much,
Nice seeing
everyone.
you. Bye.